Every cloud has a silver lining. Every cloud has a silver lining. Every cloud has a silver lining. Every cloud has a silver lining.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Lost in Translation of DJ GeenLeen.
I'm DJ gothunk.
I'm DJ BlootScoot.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Today,
We watched
went back in time.
we went back in
88
time.
Italy.
That was a while ago, actually. That was a
When the
solid.
moon-
What is that? That's like 32 years ago. Yeah, that's back in time
32.
a little bit. I would consider that to be back in time.
The movie goes back in time.
The movie does actually go quite a ways back in time. The movie
Yeah.
itself. The cinema, if you will. Coincidentally, the movie was called Cinema Paradiso.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's a very famous old movie.
It's very good.
Not
What
old,
was
it
the
like 1990.
what was the song that you played at the beginning there, DJ Gothunk?
Oh, thank you for reminding me.
Of course. It was so
It's-
epic to listen to it in its entirety.
I know. It's called No Wonder I by Lake, which you may recognize the song from a little known cartoon called Adventure Time. It's in one of the episodes.
I enjoyed that song.
I'm glad you did, Quinton. So back to Cinema Paradiso. Paradiso. I feel like I'm
Cinema?
screwing up the name, but I should be.
It was a very fine piece of cinema, let me tell you.
It was pretty good. I gotta say I'm kind of underwhelmed.
Really? Do you
I don't
think it
know
was
what
hyped up
about
more
it.
than it was actually?
I think it might have been a little bit overhyped for me.
I did like it a lot. I don't know.
I feel like it should have been something I really enjoyed. I still enjoyed it. I still thought it was really good. I was just like, oh, this movie's supposed to be like amazing, and then I was like, it was alright.
I really enjoyed it too, but while I was watching, I felt like there was a little left out, and in the research afterward, we did find out that there was a lot cut out that kind of was important to the plot. Which, it was still a good
I
movie.
saw some arguments that it was like better that it was cut out, but
Yeah,
I don't really know what to think about that.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting when movies get cut in different ways, because a lot of times you'd think that a lot of people prefer the director's cut, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're like, that's worse. I think most of the times people usually prefer director's cuts, but there's a movie called Donnie Darko. I don't know if you guys have heard of, but people prefer the non-director's cut because it's not as confusing, I guess. I think I've only seen the I think I've only seen the director's cut. So I don't know. I didn't think it was that confusing, but it's an interesting. George Lucas is also kind of famous for cutting movies, and people don't like that when he does it because they take out parts that they like. So that's interesting.
Classic Georgie. The
Yeah.
Luke Meister.
Are we spoiling this movie?
There's not much to spoil. It's a pretty like slice of
pretty s-
life movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's something.
It's not like some of the movies we've watched, and that spoiling it would ruin it.
Yeah.
I think
It's essentially about a kid who sort of learns how to be a projectionist by befriending the local projectionist. And this is like directly after World War II. So the kid lost his father in the war, and so he befriends the local projectionist and basically takes over the trade until he moves away. And the whole movie's about basically just about the movie theater and the little kid.
it's about his love of the theater and love of the epic movies.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, there are a few reasons why I think this movie didn't resonate with me as much as it should have. And I think one of them is that, well, it did do a good job of making me want to go back to the theaters, you know? Because I was watching this, I was like, dang, I just want to go to a movie theater. Like, I'm tired of watching movies on our in my living room.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I haven't been there in so long. It's like one of my favorite things to do. And so maybe, and I was also like, oh, maybe like I just like since I haven't been in so long, maybe it's just not something that like resonated with me as much as it should have, or as much as it usually would. I don't know. What did you guys think?
I don't know. Maybe. I would like to go back to the theaters, though. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. I don't have much to add. Sorry.
But yeah. So that I think this movie is very highly read, and when I was reading I was reading some reviews for it, and that was kind of the reason. Everyone was just like, "Oh, this movie shows like how much I love the cinema and stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, me
Yeah.
too," but also I don't really get it.
Mhm.
What would you guys rate this movie?
I would give it probably a 7.5 out of
Yeah.
10.
I'd give it a 7.
Yeah,
7.
I also
It's
give it a 7.
well above average. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So we're
did
on the
really enjoy it. I was mentioning to y'all when we were watching it, but I think it's my favorite of the dramas we've watched so far. I can't really place why. I think it's just, I don't know, it was enjoyable.
yeah. I think it's just maybe it's just I don't know what about it. I feel like I've watched other slice of life movies that have just like been more interesting to me and that I've resonated with more. Probably my favorite's this movie called Dazed and Confused, which came out 3 years after this one. And I don't know. I think I don't know how to describe it. I was like maybe I'm not disappointed with the movie as much. I'm just disappointed that I didn't like it as much as I
Was
felt
hoping
like
that
I
you were.
should have. Yeah.
Hmm.
But um I'll talk about some Italian or cinema Italiana since I took Italian for 2 semesters and I'm now the expert.
You can call me the
yeah,
expert.
I guess I'm fluent.
I'm pretty much what do they say? They
Yeah,
don't say fluent, they say
I'm fluent, yeah.
I have an intermediate proficiency.
Hmm.
Might be kind of true. I was
What
kind of.
the heck? What does that mean?
It probably means that I'm
I am
about as trained
acceptable.
in Italian as you guys are in Spanish, but probably a little bit
That's
better.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, we took 5 years of Spanish. Which
I
I
I
got
mean,
a
know.
little
you
bit
probably
for it,
you
though.
probably
I
have
honestly
more.
do.
You're probably better than us in Spanish. I don't
No, I
know.
think
I don't
I'm
remember
better than
anything.
you, but
We took
that's
so
also.
much
I think
Spanish.
that's also because. I think that's also because I was invested in my. It's like I wanted to take my Italian class, and like I think you're.
I cannot say the same.
You guys just
Sorry,
wanted me
Senora
to.
Garcia.
Um,
Man, we need to get Senora Garcia to listen to this.
but yeah, so Italian cinema has been pretty influential to all of cinema. It's
Cinema.
probably paired with France. They probably had like the biggest influence, like in the 1950s, and they had this. It was known as Italian neorealism, and basically it was like showing how much life sucked after World War II.
Mm.
But then things started to get better, and so that's like the neorealism didn't strike a chord with the people as much because the economy is swinging back,
Right.
and so then a cinema got more like I don't know, got more like adventurous, and there were more people like I guess a few like more auteurs, and I don't really know how to describe it. But this movie is known as I was reading on Wikipedia, and I don't exactly know what this term means, but it's known as like post neorealism, which I'm assuming means, and it's like supposed to be like nostalgic. And so I think this movie showed a lot of movies from like the neorealism era, because that's like when the movie takes place, is when those movies would be coming out. And so I think a lot of the movies that you saw like playing in the theater were from that era, and we're sort of supposed to like be nostalgic to that era of film. But I also don't exactly know what that post neorealism is, because I'm not a film student.
Interesting. I could see this film being, you know, what's the word you just said it? Nostalgic.
Nostalgia.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being seen as nostalgic, especially to people who've lived through the times in the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I think I was like, it's sort of like nostalgic for a time period that we've never been nostalgic for. So I was like, maybe that's another reason why I'm not as into this movie, because it's like it's about like post-war Italy, which was like I don't know, that's just not it. Even post-war, like the 50s, I feel like isn't that, or like the late 40s, I don't think is like that much of a considered like a nostalgic time for people in the United States.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
I mean, that was right when I mean, there was just World War II was just so horrendous that I think.
Yeah, but in this movie, they're nostalgic for that time. So
Well, not the time during World War II, immediately after.
oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah. Do you guys have anything to say about this movie?
I was interested in the scenes with the priest in the movie. A big part of it is the priest censors a lot of the film, just showing the anybody kissing on film was unacceptable, and they the priest would watch the movie before everybody it was released to the public, and the film operator would cut out the kissing scenes. And I always thought that was I thought it was very interesting, like how the times have changed since then. And they show the changing of times in the movie. Like they show how shocking the first time there was a kissing scene in the film, and everybody like cheered it, and it was
And the
interesting.
priest, yeah, and then the priest just gets up and says, "I'm not going to be watching this pornography," and just walks out of the theater. It was very, very strange.
Yeah.
I was wondering if that was because the first theater, because there are like two theaters in the movie, or like it's the same theater.
It's the
but
same.
two
Yeah,
theaters.
yeah. Sorry.
I was
go ahead.
wondering if that's because the owner, if the first theater was owned sort of by the public,
I think that I thought I was under
and
the
there wasn't
impression that like
really
the
an
first
owner.
theater was owned by the priest,
Yeah,
or
I
like
thought it
maybe
was the
like by the
church.
church.
I thought it was the church at first because that's where it looked like
I also thought that for a
communion
bit.
was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I was like, oh, this is like the church. But then they just sort of sell it, I guess, after it burned down. So I don't know.
I mean, yeah, they probably didn't have to pay that much to buy it.
So I don't know what that was about. What was someone about to say?
I wasn't about to say anything. No.
DJ gothunk, going off of what you said earlier about how like big it was in the Italian film industry, I also thought it was interesting that this won the Oscar for 1989 foreign film, which, yeah, that was interesting. It was the first Italian film that had won in a while. I checked, and I thought it was interesting that it was able to reach such a broad audience
And win at such a broad
and
audience.
win.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
Mhm.
That's what I was saying. It's like this movie really strikes a chord with. It seemed to have struck a chord with like most people. And like it's like on the IMDb top 100. That's on that poster that I have in my room.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's very widely loved.
Yeah, for sure.
Some also the foreign language category at the Academy is kind of weird. So it's first off, I think it's interesting. I don't know if we talked about this, but all the countries in it are like very friendly with America. I mean, I think it's kind of obvious because it's like the American award show. But like China, I don't think China's ever gotten a film in like I don't even know if they've gotten one into consideration or like into being nominated.
Do you think that might stem from the fact that there's like a lot of censorship that happens in China, and so
I have
like,
no
do
idea.
you even know if they like submit stuff
I
to the
think they do.
Oscars?
I was looking at the Wikipedia and it was like I think they've submitted a few films, but they've never. I don't even think they've ever been nominated, which is weird because it's like China's a big place. I mean, yeah, it might
Yeah,
be
but I mean,
'cause-
if you're working with so much censorship that goes on in China,
yeah,
I
it might
think
be
that it would
because of
probably be
that
very difficult to get.
to get like something that's considered good. I guess I don't know.
Right. And I'm sure that there's a lot of politics that goes on in that too, of like, oh,
But
we
also
don't want to support a
the way that the category is made up, each country can only submit one movie. So
interesting.
and I was always curious of how that was decided because that means that there's like a department in each country that determines what their pick for best foreign language film is gonna be.
So the different countries decide what their pick.
Yeah,
for
like
film
each
is?
country
That's odd.
submits their own
Hmm.
film, which is it's just like a weird system because it's like, so who decides what's the country? Because it's like not like the people vote on it. So I was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is
It happened.
interesting.
There was controversy with it this year because a movie called Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which we won't be watching, but you should watch if you haven't already seen it.
I remember you watched that last year. No,
Uh,
you wanted to
yeah, no,
watch
it
it
was
last
this year.
semester.
No, I did watch it last semester.
You did?
I think it was
Maybe
the
I
last movie I saw in theaters.
Okay, because
So
I
it
was
was a
gonna
good-
say
it was a
I
good
remember it was
choice.
showing on campus.
Oh yeah, it was, and I was gonna see it again, but I didn't. But I did end up seeing it in theaters. But that movie didn't get nominated because France didn't select it for whatever reason.
And you really, really liked that movie, didn't you?
Yeah, no, that movie's great. I haven't seen the movie that they did pick. It was nominated. I want to see it, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
You mean for the 2019 Oscar?
Yeah, for the 2019 Oscar.
That was Les Mis.
Yeah,
Mis.
Les Miserables, but it's not the musical. It's about the firefighters like union, I think, in France.
Oh.
There are videos on Reddit of the incident that you can see. So basically, I think there's like a ton of like civil unrest.
Oh yeah.
But that's France.
Interesting. Yeah, that is France.
Did
We're in
Borat
Italy.
win the Oscar? Did
I'm
Borat go through from Kazakhstan?
What are we watching next, DJ Gothunk?
Well, we have a special Halloween episode.
Ooh.
It actually kind of works out very well. We're going to Spain. We're going westward to Spain, to Espanol.
And back in time.
And back in time, of course.
Relative to this week's movie, we're actually going forward in time.
Oh.
I thought we were going... Pan's Labyrinth is World War II, isn't it? Before this?
Oh, and then
right?
we're staying
Am I
stationary.
wild in that? I thought that it was...
Oh yeah, Pan's Labyrinth.
I was more
was
referring
like...
to the release date. I thought that's where time travel's been based on.
Oh,
yeah,
it's been a combination.
With that. We've been it's been unclear since the beginning.
DJ BlootScoot insists that we should not say we're going back in time on anything, even
But
though
then
we
he's
went
the
back
one-
to
you're-
1950 to watch Rashomon.
Yes.
DJ
BlootScoot says now every single time we watch a movie, we're going back in time. So he insists on annoying me and saying
slippery slope.
we're going back in
Well,
time.
didn't you say it for
We're just
Parasite?
down the slope, man.
No, we're
Didn't
not.
you
This
say
is
we're
just you being
going back in
ridiculous.
time when we were watching Parasite?
Pardon?
I think that's when it started. It didn't start with Rashomon.
I did not say we were going
Rashomon was
back
the
in time for
first back in
Parasite. That was
time.
DJ BlootScoot's point that he was trying to make. Was it's a slippery scope. You go back to 1950 and what? Are you going back in time to 2019? No, Cringe Lord. It's not the same thing. Golly.
Let's do some quick trivia.
Anyway, DJ Gothunk didn't mention it, but we're watching Pan's Labyrinth next.
Oh yeah, we're
week.
watching Pan's Labyrinth
Mm-hmm.
for a little spooky Halloween special.
It's a pretty epic movie, gotta say.
I'm the only one. I'm the only one of the DJs who hasn't seen it. Which is
That's a first.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a mix-up. Well, usually I
mix up.
I think most of the movies I haven't seen. But I don't know. Oh wait,
but
no.
Usually
I guess
none of us have seen them. But you've seen a pretty good amount.
But some trivia. Some more Italian film trivia. There's the term for outdoor cinema is cinema all'aperto. And in this movie, there's some cinema all'aperto. And it's a very big tradition in Italy, I think. Because And especially during quarantine, they've been showing movies outside.
That's pretty cool.
That is
But-
really cool, actually.
That'd be fun.
It's like a drive-in, but
Yeah, I guess we do drive-ins.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, drive-ins have been sort of resurging.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I meant to go to one, but I never did. DJ BlootScoot.
Minor piece of trivia. That's all I've got. Cinema Paradiso, or Paradiso, I keep saying that, Paradiso was shot in the director Tornatore's hometown in Bulgaria, Sicily. I'm sure that is wrong pronunciation, but yeah, I thought it was interesting that he went back to his hometown to make all the scenes, and it might have contributed to the feel of like the film taking place at Salvatore's home, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. The sense of nostalgia.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely adds to that.
Dang.
That was pretty epic.
We still have time though.
This is kind of wild. We usually
Yeah,
running
usually
out
we're
of time. DJ Gothunk, you haven't posed a super duper discussion question that we sit for 10 seconds trying to figure out what you just asked about. You should do that.
What do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash?
You get lost in translation.